Drug abuse has devastated millions of Americans, with rates steadily increasing each year. Overdose deaths, particularly among teenagers across the United States, have reached alarming levels that we can't afford to ignore.
I was speaking outside to the media, and I gave them a statistic that said 190 people a day overdose and die every single day in the United States of America. That is about a 737 plane. That's what about a 737 aircraft can carry. Could you imagine the national media attention it would get if they were reporting that a plane was crashing every single day and killing 190 people?
Teenagers across the U.S. are increasingly engaging with harmful substances. From experimenting with prescription pills to vaping, these actions often lead to the use of more dangerous drugs.
But what I find kids are using the most right now is weed and nicotine. Alcohol has always been prevalent. It's always been a mainstay for a lot of high school kids, including myself when I was in high school. But I feel like the trajectory now is that kids are really starting their experimentation off with nicotine and weed and kind of gravitating towards other substances as they get older.
Reports show a rise in teen substance abuse across the U.S., especially with such easy access to tools that enable their misuse.
The people who are selling the drugs are putting up menus, and the kids are just ordering it, and it's coming, they're paying through PayPal, and it's coming in the mail, delivery. Unbelievable. It blew my mind when I heard that.
Teenagers are drawn to drugs for a variety of reasons, often reflecting the complexities of the experiences and challenges they face. It's a behavior rooted in many different factors, highlighting a reality that can't be ignored.
I asked, and I do continue to ask every single school when I meet with like groups of kids, I ask them, why do you drink and smoke or vape? Be honest with me. Why? And they say, because I want to fit in. I give in to peer pressure. I want to fit in.
I suspect it was probably curiosity, maybe a little bit of peer pressure. And I think for most people then it kind of evolves towards who is disposed to becoming addicted and who might be using that to cover up either anxieties or pain in their life and things like that.
They don't like themselves. They're not comfortable with who they are. They want to feel more comfortable in their skin, and they don't fit in, and it helps them fit in. They also use it to deal with anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues that they think that they're treating, but really they're just hurting. They're suppressing and hurting.
Fentanyl overdoses are now the #1 killer of Americans ages 18 to 41. #1 killer. This data is tragic. No family should have to deal with the sudden loss of a loved one. Fentanyl is often ingested unknowingly, and a dose smaller than the size of a penny can be lethal.
Fentanyl is often unknowingly mixed with other substances. This makes it even more dangerous, with deadly consequences that lie in just one mistake. In fact, in 2022 alone, there were 73,838 fentanyl overdose deaths, which is comparable to an entire city disappearing.
But the issue with today is that a lot of these, like 96% of all pills that are coming from non-pharmaceutical places are pressed in people's basements, and they contain fentanyl. So they really have no idea what they're getting. And even now, they're taking fentanyl test strips, they're testing their drugs, and sometimes even when it tests positive, they don't care and they take it anyway. And it could be a very, very deadly consequence.
There are kids who are doing what they think is Adderall, Xanax, and it's laced with fentanyl. So when I watch my friend who's purposely trying to get heroin, which is no longer heroin anymore, it's just pure fentanyl, because he's trying to kill himself. He's taking a chance of dying every single day.
Substance abuse doesn't just harm the body, it changes the brain, disrupting its natural chemistry. Over time, this leads to dependence and addiction, making it harder to stop using. This is especially concerning given that about 50% of teenagers have misused a drug at least once. With rising rates of illicit drug use disorder among teens, the impact on their brain chemistry is even more profound, making it harder to break free from the cycle of addiction.
Depending on the drugs that they're using and how they're using them, they could either have some sort of black lung or popcorn lung from smoking, or track marks on their arms or other places of their body if they're using intravenous drugs.
How do we stop this crisis? What can be done to turn the tide? The challenges are vast and the path forward isn't clear, but the need for change has never been more urgent.
Teenagers have to understand that it's okay to come forward and speak about your problems and ask for help and find other solutions that aren't using drugs. And it's hard. They don't, a child won't always understand why they're taking them.
I think kids need to learn from a younger age that it's okay to be them, right? It's okay to be who you are. You don't have to change yourself to fit in. You don't have to change yourself to fit in with a group of kids who will only accept you because you change yourself. You should be okay being you.